Hi, I'm Dave Cunningham, Chief Commercial Officer at Sedicii. At Sedicii, we provide identity and security solutions to prevent financial crime and enable commerce. Our goal is to simplify a process to deliver certainty, whether that's in the identity space or in the anti-money laundering space, which is the solution that we're talking about today. We're a team of 20 or so spread across Europe and expanding into the United States now this year, delivering solutions globally through partners. Our team has a lot of experience in the digital identity space and with deep expertise in privacy preserving technology, including secure multi-party computation, which we'll be talking about today. We're fortunate to be backed by the Irish government and InQtel, the investment arm of the CIA. Our work in the FCA Digital Sandbox has been fantastic for us. We went into it to seek collaboration with great technology providers, to learn from the mentors, to learn from the FCA themselves and the City of London Corporation, and also just to raise our profile about this pioneering technology. And we got all of that and more. With LexTago, as you'll see in our demo, we've collaborated to deliver a complementary solution to their great transaction monitoring system. Synectic Solutions are working with us to explore new opportunities in the fraud prevention space. And with MPC for AML, we're looking at some really exciting European research projects. We've been fortunate to learn from Jonathan Frost and Denise Rudich as great mentors who've lived and worked at the cutting edge of the anti-money laundering space in particular, and that experience has been invaluable to us. The facilitators at the FCA seeing so many great solutions come to life and knowing what a regulated entity has to do in order to stay compliant and to manage their data effectively and fight financial crime, it's been really great for us. And the good news is we've got some really exciting proof of concepts coming to life now and increased commercial interest from both banks on their own and also a consortium of banks. So let's have a look at what we're doing in the sandbox. Our solution, Prexa, which is a pre-execution alert system, is built on top of really exciting privacy preserving technology, zero knowledge proof, and secure multi-party computation. The key element of this is that it allows organizations to share data, share knowledge and insights around a transaction or an individual making a transaction or an entity without having to share the underlying data and get it offsite. So it's sharing the insights and knowledge, but leaving the data where it is. And this is great, we find, from a privacy and confidentiality point of view, because the data stays where it is. The best way we find in order to avoid data being hacked, any data leakage or any leakage of personally identifiable information is for the data to never move at all. And that's what we do using this great technology. We've worked in the sandbox with LexTago. LexTago are a transaction monitoring system, and they've been able to build an amazing system which allows for up to 10,000 transactions per second to be processed. So really got through a lot of data. So working with the data in the digital sandbox plus supplementing with their own data, they've been able to send a lot of information for us to query. And they have designed their own rating scheme for suspicious transactions. They passed the details to us, and then where we came in was that part of the journey where one bank had a suspected suspicious transaction and needed to communicate with the other bank who was party to that transaction to find out whether their suspicions were warranted. Now, we need to do this in a way that respects the individual's privacy. We also need to respect tipping off mechanisms, that we don't step over the line there. So with our solution, it allows for both banks to communicate and to develop a risk score around a transaction or an individual. This saves a lot of time for MLROs. It also saves unnecessary SARs being filed, removes false positives and false negatives, and in the end, the ultimate achievement is to reduce financial crime. So what we did with LexTago was build a collaborative framework. So this is what we do with clients all the time, is we sit with the bank or with the consortium of banks and say, okay, what will be the common questions that we'll ask? And they usually fall into identity and suitability frameworks like this. So we ask from both banks for details about the person making the payment and the person receiving the payment. We check the payment instruction data to see, does that chime with the name and address associated with that account at the recipient? And we do all of this in a manner which, in fact, no data comes to us at Sedicii, no data leaves any of the banks, but a risk score is generated at each bank, and that's shared. And the result then is that banks have a clear path forward as to the transactions and individuals they have to investigate, and they can discount any transactions that they felt, you know, were on the edge or maybe can just be left. So let me take you into the demo, and this is something that you can explore yourself at the link displayed here. So what we've done with LexTago was LexTago identified their risk score, as I mentioned, and there was one particular account who the account holder was this Russell Hunter individual, and this account number was linked to a lot of suspicious transactions. In one transaction, Bank A had a customer called Ashley Scott who was trying to pay British Telecom, but the account details on this were actually those of a Russell Hunter, and this is not what Ashley had intended. So we check the payment instruction with the recipient data, and also we check the suitability of the account holder at both Bank A and Bank B, because we want to see, look, is Ashley Scott, is there any suspicious activity there? And likewise, is Russell Hunter creating any red flags that we need further investigation? So we've been asking on both sides, is the account holder resident in the UK? How long has the account been active for more than a year? Has a SAR been filed in the last year? Are the volume of transactions higher than normal? And has a hold been placed on this account? So both parties answer the questions related to the transaction and to their account holder, and an execution starts, which uses our secure multi-party computation and our zero knowledge proof. And then the risk score is generated, which gives an instruction to the banks that, look, some identity and suitability checks have failed, so further investigations are definitely warranted in this case. Now, taking into account that Bank A and the network of banks that LexTago were looking at had a lot of transactions going to Russell Hunter's account, or now the account that we now know is associated with Russell Hunter. So we looked at some other transactions that were going from Bank A to Russell's account, and it turns out that there was a lot of transactions going from one account holder called Brenda Core. Brenda was sending payment instructions. She had the instructions absolutely perfect. They chimed with the recipient details of Russell Hunter. There was no alteration of the account. Unlike in the previous example, Ashley was more than likely the victim of authorized push payment fraud. But in this case, Brenda has the details absolutely correct. She's intending to pay Russell Hunter. But Russell Hunter, we know, has had a lot of issues around identity in terms of SARs being filed, lots of high value transactions, and also there's been holds placed on his account. Brenda has also had a SAR filed and also has had a high volume of transactions in the last month, but Bank A hadn't really investigated or gone any further with that. But by comparing and having a look at the transactions between Russell Hunter and with Brenda Core, it shows that actually there's it gives Bank A further means to investigate, because some suitability is checked on both sides, and this would indicate to Bank A and Bank B that further investigation is merited in relation to activities concerning Russell Hunter and also Brenda Core. So In practical terms, this means that there's less phone calls between banks where MLROs are trying to protect privacy, but find out more about the account holder and whether their suspicion is warranted. So it saves manual time. It saves a lot of false positives. It preserves privacy, and only when the risk score is high, as it is in this case, is are further investigations warranted for the account holders. So this solution is getting around, as I've said earlier, the challenge related to sharing knowledge and information relating to transactions. We want to avoid pooling data because pooled data is subject to being hacked, and also it's hard to get a bank or network of banks to agree to share data into a pooled repository, because they of course want to respect customers' privacy. They want to make sure things are secure, and lastly, they could be sharing information that perhaps could be subject to data analytics, which might give insights to other banks as to the nature of their business, or might harm them in a competitive manner. So this avoids all those concerns and uses secure multi-party computation and zero knowledge proof to really solve a major challenge. The net result of this is that we can do a lot better in society in terms of fighting financial crime, because currently, even though we spend 200 billion a year in institutions on anti-money laundering technology every year, only 1% of activity is actually detected and acted on. 1%. This solution allows us to overcome barriers to sharing knowledge and insights, and it will allow us to really tackle financial crime properly, saving money, saving time, and also thwarting the efforts of organized crime, which is, the results of money laundering are often in those most despicable acts in society, such as human trafficking, modern day slavery, and sexual exploitation. So as well as funding terrorist activities. We're excited to bring this to market. We're excited to have been in the Financial Conduct Authority's Digital Sandbox together with the City of London. We have real traction with this solution. We have a network of banks going live with this solution, and we welcome your interest. So please get in touch. You can get in touch at sedicii.com, where I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And thankfully, we've got a great team who can talk to you about how easy it is to deploy this solution at your bank or with a network of banks. Thank you.